This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Friday, the real Friday, February 24th. And today's pod is just the best one yet. It's T-Boy.
Happy Friday.
Happy
that
Friday.
means it's Quiz Friday.
Quiz Friday, our 1-minute weekly pop quiz drops today.
Go.tboypod.com. Check out our weekly pop business quiz.
Honestly, best way to play the quiz? Drop it in a text chain with a couple buddies.
Challenge your buddy Timmy.
Hey, Timmy, did you get question 4 right?
I don't think you did.
If you know, you know, Timmy. Jack, what's our first story for today's pod?
Subway, the foot-long sandwich chain, is adding electric car charging to the menu.
Subway is reinventing the pit stop to help keep us nice and strong.
For our second story, today is the 1-year anniversary of the start of the war in Ukraine.
So Jack and I created a global economic scoreboard.
And our third and final story, Netflix just partnered with the NFL for the first time.
To put you in a helmet under center, Omaha.
On one, ready, break.
And on
But
clap.
Yetis, before we hit that fantastic mix,
A wonderful mix to go into a weekend with.
it's Friday, the real Friday.
The real Friday. So Yetis, you may be treating yourself to a cocktail, maybe 2 tonight.
But even if you're on your second magnum of Malbec,
double down on that thing. You just can't beat this bar order.
billionaire Bill Gates just bought almost $1 billion of Heineken stock.
Okay, we repeat, Bill Gates just spent nearly $1 billion on a Heine.
When we saw that he bought 3.8% of Heineken,
What do we do, Jack?
we thought it was 3.8% alcohol content.
Yeah, we did. But it turns out he owns 3.8% of Heineken.
The Dutch beer giant.
Jack, what would that make Bill Gates now?
It makes him the biggest beer baron since Wolfgang von Wolfhausen.
Grandpapa. Next round, it's on Bill.
But the best part, Bill has said before,
Yeah.
I'm not much of a beer drinker.
Jack and I jumped in T-Boy style. He drinks Diet Coke. He's a Diet Coke dude.
He reportedly drinks 4 Diet Cokes a day.
Yeah, and yet Bill Gates just dropped a quarter of a lift on a stein of lager.
Now, Bill hasn't commented publicly why he bought the biggest keg ever.
Full disclosure, Jack and I have no idea why he bought the biggest keg
That's
ever.
why we need Bill's PowerPoint to explain this huge Pilsner.
Yeah, but Yetis, if the keg gets clogged, remember, all you got to do is unplug it and plug it back in.
If the sake bomb is frozen, just try updating the software.
Your whiskey's a little too neat? Control-Alt-Delete.
Bartender, I'll have a Microsoft Mule.
Let's restart our 3 stories on the house.
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your at-list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, Subway just announced its boldest plan ever to save the sandwich chain.
Subway Sandwiches is building a chain of electric car charging stations.
You're going to have to repeat that line because I don't know if that settled in for everyone.
Yes, Subway is going from delis
Yes.
to energy.
Jack, let's travel back in time. Let's go 2 years ago. That's when we first covered Subway and why.
We covered it because of the Funa controversy.
The Funa controversy.
Subway was accused of having fake tuna in the deli.
AKA Funa. Well, last year, Jack and I covered Subway a second time. And why did we cover them then, Jack?
Because of their resurrection. They broke a years-long sales decline by achieving 8% sales growth last year.
Not too shabby. And how did they pull that off?
They threw the whole kitchen sink at the problem.
Jack and I actually call this the kitchen sink strategy. You just try everything and hope something works.
They tried new ovens, new stores, new menu. They're even looking for a new owner.
But here's the thing, Yetis. Subway knows that its greatest asset isn't the roast beef. It's the real estate.
Because this is like a great trivia question.
This is good.
What's the biggest chain in the United States?
Well, it actually is Subway.
21,000 locations.
But can you sprinkle on that context, Jack? That was like almost like the second best trivia fact ever.
It's nearly twice as big as McDonald's.
We repeat, Subway is nearly twice as big as Ronald McDonald's.
So, Subway is planning to capitalize on their land.
That's what we found fascinating about this story. Subway is going to capitalize on all that land by becoming an electric car oasis.
Those are their words.
Oasis.
Oasis, the dictionary.
Yes.
Fertile land in the middle of a desert.
Well, if you think about it, the United States is kind of one big electric car charging desert.
So Subway is going to be an oasis for those EV drivers. Now, some Subways will only have space for like a couple of EV chargers.
But where it's got room, Subway is going to go full Central Park on us with this new charging concept.
A Subway oasis is going to be a parking lot with a bunch of fast chargers, Wi-Fi, green space so you can picnic with Subway,
Not too shabby.
bathrooms,
Okay, good.
and a playground.
And some gabagool.
So at Subway's Oasis, you can plug in your Rivian, have a picnic under a maple tree, and eat a foot-long cold-cut combo.
Hey, that's perfect, Jack, because I have one every day to help keep me nice and strong.
Save us, Happy Gilmore. Your only hope.
Oh, all while your puppy plays with little Johnny in the jungle gym right on that land.
Here's how Nick and I think of it. McDonald's has always had playgrounds for kids. Subway wants to have a playground for Tesla owners.
Exactly. The home of the $5 footlong wants to be the home of the 15-minute car charge.
Yetis, the U.S. needs 1 million charging stations by 2030 to electrify.
Well, it looks like 21,000 of them could come with a schmear of Subway mayo. So, Jack, would you like me to toast this meatball marinara or just leave it as is?
Is this bread fresh?
Jalapenos on the side. Jack, what is the takeaway for our buddies over at Subway?
The charging station is one of the least appreciated opportunities of retail.
Okay, Yetis, Jack and I were going back, and we noticed that 2 years ago, we did a takeaway that electric cars can reinvent the pit stop.
Gas stations, let's be honest, they're the worst experience in retail. There's too much beef jerky.
Yes, there is.
Not nearly enough acai.
Jack, if I have to snap into another Slim Jim.
Yetis, your typical EV driver is likely a young, affluent person, maybe with a family, with some income to spend.
That is retail gold.
So we should design charging stations right next to a Whole Foods or a Lululemon. Hell, maybe a SoulCycle studio.
And charging, unfortunately, takes longer than pumping gas, but lingering, that's also retail gold.
While you linger for 30 to 50 minutes while your car charges, you could buy a lot of coconut granola at that Whole Foods.
Yes, you could. So Yeti, Subway's bold electric vehicle Oasis plan is an attempt to get a highly desirable customer segment.
Subway is
Subway.
moving first to reinvent the pit stop.
Gabagool. For our second story, Yetis, 1 year ago, Russia began its invasion on Ukraine. It is the 1 year anniversary of the war in Ukraine.
So we're looking at the economic score, and it's actually tied.
It's surprisingly tied.
But bigger than any economic impact, of course, is the human
Now,
impact.
honestly, Ukraine has put up a hell of a fight in the last year.
But according to the United Nations, 8,000 Ukrainian civilians have been confirmed killed, and 13,000 more were injured.
The actual numbers are likely higher.
And 14 million Ukrainians have been displaced from their homes.
We actually have 110,000 Ukrainians, refugees in the United States right now.
It's an awful tragedy. That's the human impact.
Right.
And of course, Ukraine's economy has suffered badly too.
And globally, in business, in economics, in finance, the war's bombs have been felt too.
But here's the surprising thing.
Okay, we were shocked by this.
1 year into the war, the economic impact on the rest of the world is not what you think it is.
It's the opposite of what you think. For example, Europe made a moral decision last year to stop buying gas from Russia. Because we said Russia is basically one big gas station with some nuclear weapons.
And that was expected to be a costly moral decision.
But here's the surprise. Jack, can you share the economic numbers for Europe?
Despite cutting off their primary gas source from Russia, Europe's economy grew big last year by 3.6%.
Okay, Besties, that was a shocker. But then we noticed this surprise too.
France's stock market right now is at a record high.
Okay, so that's two. Two are curious, but three makes a trend. Jack, what was the other surprise?
Germany's stock market, which is the biggest economy in Europe and the one most dependent on Russian gas, Germany's stock market is up 10% in the past year.
We repeat, Europe's economy grew, France's stock market's at a record high, and Germany's stock market rose 10% during a war-torn year.
Now, Europeans deserve credit. They conserved their energy use by 20% over the past year.
Europeans literally turned down the thermostats and turned up the sweaters.
Oh, and an unseasonably warm winter, that helped them go cold turkey on Russian gas too.
So the war in Ukraine, it made the price of everything rise, and yet Western economies grew anyway.
It was a shocker.
Like we said.
It's a bright side.
But Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies in the economy?
The economic scoreboard is actually tied.
Yeah.
The West won, Russia also won.
Yet he's 1 year into the war. All of us who expected a collapse of the Russian economy, turns out we were wrong.
I think we all expected a collapse of the Russian economy.
Now, yes, a bunch of really big, fancy oligarch yachts got seized, but Russia's avoided the economic punishment that we all might have hoped for.
We see Russia's financial resilience in the value of the Russian ruble.
This is the best way to see it. Russia's currency is higher today than it was a year ago.
In fact, Russia's economy, it shrank last year,
It
but
did.
only by 2.5% because Russia found new buyers for all that Russian oil.
When the West sanctioned Russia, Putin turned to China and India instead.
China never condemned Putin's war and basically approved it by buying record amounts of Russian oil and gas last year.
So, besties, that's why when we look at the economic scoreboard of the Ukraine war, it's actually 1-1.
Europe did way better than expected, but so did Russia. Now, a word about our sponsor, Robinhood.
You can do just about anything from your phone, but some industries, they've just been slow to
The
move.
finance industry was slow to move from phone to computer and then from computer to app.
Robinhood wasn't. It's the Silicon Valley-based brokerage that's been updating apps since it was born in 2015.
Using the Robinhood app for your stocks and crypto is almost as easy as downloading it.
So you can invest at your pace on your terms by downloading the Robinhood app.
If you're not investing on Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/tboy and choose your free stock.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY. Limitations apply.
Stocks are offered by Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto.
All investments involve risk.
By the way, this podcast is not owned by or part of Robinhood, and we are not employees of Robinhood. For our third and final story of the week, Jack, can I make a confession quickly?
Yes.
I've never actually snapped into a Slim Jim.
Are you kidding me?
No, today actually I did have jerky, but it was mango jerky.
It's got like a natural casing that
Yeah.
you think is going to be nasty.
Interesting.
But it does snap in your mouth.
Not a risk I'm willing to take these days. In the meantime, third and final story, Yetis. Netflix and the NFL just teamed up for the first time ever to launch Quarterbacks, a documentary series.
Because Netflix has found its sports playbook.
Oh, but besties, Jack and I can't predict the future. But we do know what you're going to be watching 4 months from now in the middle of the summer.
Over 4th of July weekend, you'll have a hot dog in your hands,
Check.
but your eyes will be on Netflix.
Specifically, the docu-series Quarterbacks on Netflix.
We get to go under the helmet and in the head of the most important position in sports.
What is that position, Jack?
Quarterback.
It says the former quarterback. I thought it was the face-off guy on the lacrosse team.
I don't think it is, Nick.
I'm
Netflix
thinking ahead.
disagrees with you.
Okay, that's fair. That series is coming soon.
Netflix put microphones, unbeknownst to all football fans until now.
Yeah.
Netflix put microphones on 3 quarterbacks for the entire 2022 NFL season.
Jack, as a former quarterback, can you please tell us the 3 quarterbacks involved?
Patrick Mahomes,
Okay.
Kirk Cousins,
Into it.
and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, so Yetis, you get to kind of be the quarterback for the season with these guys.
Yeah, you get to experience practice and like the thrill of scoring a touchdown.
But you also get to experience going to their daughter's birthday party or raking the yard
Those
with,
things happen during an NFL season.
with a pro quarterback. It's like Nat Geo, but for quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're going to hire David Attenborough to narrate the huddle.
Are they actually?
They should. Now, Yeti's documentary-style sports shows, it's not a new concept.
No, it's not. We've seen this before.
HBO debuted Hard Knocks with the NFL preseason 20 years ago.
But here's what is new about this situation.
Netflix is obsessed with them.
Okay, Jack and I jumped in T-Boy style. We noticed that Netflix has a behind-the-scenes docu-series on pro tennis.
It's called Breakpoint.
And they just launched a behind-the-scenes docu-series on pro golf.
It's called Full Swing.
Okay, and soon they're launching one on the World Cup.
It's called The Greatest Show.
And they're even doing one on international rugby, Jack.
It's called The Six Nations.
Okay, have you seen The Drive to Survive on Netflix?
You probably have.
You probably have.
Because that Formula One racing show is on its 5th season now.
The Drive to Survive, a show with the rivalries, the Alfa Romeos, the Hamilton crash. It has it all.
It's all about the drama between the racers, and it's the #1 show on Netflix in 33 nations.
We repeat, Netflix's first sports documentary is the #1 show in 33 countries.
So now they have it in golf, tennis, rugby, racing, and football.
Netflix is letting the player personalities shine.
And those personalities are shining brighter under Netflix's lights
yeah.
than under stadium lights.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Netflix?
Teams need winners. Companies prefer playbooks.
Yeah, it is a slow motion, dramatic narration of athletic drama. That's a formula. That's a franchise.
It's actually a playbook.
It is.
And having a playbook is the real champion of business.
Yeah, for example, the popularity of that Drive to Survive series on Netflix, that's driving Formula One's popularity surge right now.
5 years ago, Formula One in the US, it was a $5 million a year TV business.
Okay, Jack, where is Formula One racing today?
It's gone from $5 million a year to $75 million with its new ESPN deal.
And they literally attribute that to the popularity from Netflix.
And Netflix has found success with that first series. Now they're applying the same concept to all the sports.
Yeah, Netflix is literally doing the same cinematic style, the same producer, the same format to other sports.
Because teams need winners.
Right.
Companies prefer playbooks.
Jack, can you whip up the takeaways for us for the real Friday?
Subway is endearing itself to EV owners with their EV Oasis.
Subway, of all chains, is taking a crack at reinventing the pit stop, the most underappreciated opportunity of retail.
For our second story, 1 year into the war in Ukraine, the economic scoreboard is tied at 1-1.
Europe did better than expected, but so did Russia.
And our third and final story, Netflix is launching an NFL docu-series this summer called Quarterbacks.
Teams need winners. Companies prefer playbooks. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by Cecil Barnes in Chicago, Illinois, doing logistics.
In 1973, a 16-year-old named Mae Jamison enrolled at Stanford University.
Now, Mae, she was young, she was a dancer, but she also loved chemistry.
Well, 20 years later, Dr. Mae was working at NASA, and she joined the crew for the space shuttle Endeavor.
Now, that Endeavor rocket, it flew to space, and it stayed up in orbit for 8 days.
But the real history was that Dr. Mae was on board.
Because Dr. Mae Jamison became the first Black woman to travel to space.
Since then, Mae Jamison has been inducted into the International Space Hall of Fame.
Get this, there are now 6, count them 6, American schools named after Dr. Mae for that historic voyage.
And she still loves to choreograph, she still loves music, and she still loves dancing.
With gravity or without it. Yetis, you looked fantastic all week. Jack, you look fantastic the whole week in New York City. You're glowing.
Thanks, man.
Dewey.
You too.
Thank you.
I've had a lot of hugs with you.
We had a lot of hugs.
And Yetis, if you want to take the T-Boy Pop Biz Pop quiz, go to go.tboypod.com.
And then drop it in a text chain with your buddy Timmy so you can beat your buddy Timmy.
Nick and I will see you Monday.
If you know, you know. And before we go, a happy birthday to Yeti Sergio Guevara in Baja, Mexico.
He's a huge dinkwad ass. He has 2 dogs and 3 succulents.
And a happy birthday to Irfan Muliasis Mitu, all the way over in Jakarta, Indonesia.
James and Michael Yang are twins, turning 38 today in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And Lynn Kopp, we know you're on the treadmill right now. Have a happy birthday in Cary, North Carolina.
Lee, the unicorn finder Gaffney, is turning 27 in Atlanta, Georgia.
And Juan Manuel Peña, happy birthday in the Dominican Republic.
Anthony Gomez, an OG listener of this show, happy birthday down in Austin.
And Ben Tunney is not only a big brother, he has a birthday in Stamford, Connecticut.
And Navya Rao Shah is having her very first birthday in Fremont, California.
Oh, by the way, Jack, Eric Liu and Tina Liu are celebrating 1 year of dating over in Toronto.
No relation.
No.
It's just a complete coincidence they have the same last
They
name.
happen to be the Lius.
And congratulations to Chad Steimel and Christy Whitener, who just got engaged in McElhaney, Florida.
Let's see the ring. We want to see this thing.
And a big shout out to the people of Ukraine and to people of Ukrainian heritage.
Absolutely incredible strength over the last year. Incredible.
We've been inspired by everything you've done. This is Jack. I own stock of Netflix, and Nick and I both own stock of Lululemon and Robinhood. Now, a word about our sponsor, Robinhood.
Jack, rule number 1 about a kitchen renovation, tell your friends about your kitchen renovation.
We know the cabinets are expensive.
Well, in the pandemic, a lot of companies renovated their businesses, focusing on apps and digital.
Robinhood didn't have to. It was built digital from the start.
Robinhood's mobile-first and intuitive design makes investing a little easier for every stage of your investing journey.
Whether you want to trade options, ETFs, or stocks through Robinhood Financial, or buy some Bitcoin on Robinhood Crypto, you can do all that right on the Robinhood app.
If you're not investing on Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/TBoy and choose your free stock.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY. Limitations apply.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. All investments involve risk.
By the way, this podcast is not owned by or part of Robinhood, and we are not employees of Robinhood.